and we take a deep breath. Hello, I'm Lynette Louise, the brain broad. I got a brain over there. That's how you know. I got a brain in here too, but it's pretty tired right now. I've been doing an awful lot of these interviews. I want to talk to you about something, I'm sure. No, seriously. Okay, this is the Leadership Summit. We're going to have a wonderful conversation with Sharkie Zartman. Before I introduce you to her, though, I want to tell you this is a summit called Seeking the Path, because we are all seeking the path. And I'm going to try and bring you as many different kinds of cross-discipline experts as I can so that it helps illuminate your path and there'll be something useful for everyone. So I'm really excited about that. I also am super excited about sharing not only my book, but today's guest, because she wrote the best testimonial of all, and I'm going to read it. I can't resist. I have a lot of testimonials in here, but you know, sometimes somebody says a line that just really makes you excited. So this is the 7 senses of leadership. We've talked about it every single segment. So you know, you can get it on Amazon.com, and you really should, because then you'll know how to get information in and out. But let's see what our wonderful Sharkie Zartman said. By the way, Sharkie Zartman is the All American Professional Athlete, award-winning coach, author, speaker, health professor, and radio host of Sharkie's Pep Talk. So she's no slouch. She's been around and knows her stuff. And if you look her up online, it calls her a really sexy 69-year-old. So if that's true, I'm shocked. We're going to check that out. Okay, it says, this is her testimonial, or you got to listen to this. Lynette Louise has, also known as the Brain Broad, demonstrates her mastery of brain potential and leadership capabilities in her groundbreaking book, The 7 Senses of Leadership. Lynette uses a creative blend of science, examples of well-known leaders, and humor to educate and inspire people to create their own definition of leadership based on their beliefs and purpose. So far, it's a wonderful testimonial, very clear, and I wouldn't be reading it to you because you could read it to yourself, but here's coming the good part that I really like. She says, and then shows them how to step into that role. Anyone who wants to feel vibrantly alive will benefit immensely from reading this book. And here it comes. Also, I believe this should be required reading for any politician. I love that line. I agree. Welcome to the show, to the Leadership Summit, Sharkie Zartman.
Thank you so much, especially after watching that debate. I'm going, seriously, they need to read your book before they go on TV.
Wow, I just love that line so much. I was like, somebody said it. Somebody said it. I was so happy. I can't say it. You know, that wouldn't be cool, but you can say it. Thank you. All right, so let's start with, you've done everything. Are you really a sexy 69-year-old?
No, who said I was 69? I'm 66. And so.
Oh, let's not rush it. Somebody got one of your.
Don't set me too far ahead.
All right. Well, I'm right there with you, but so that's amazing. Actually, I like that you didn't argue on the sexy point. That was awesome.
No, I didn't argue on that. I'm still sexy.
You really still are. It's really awesome. So let's talk a little bit about how do you go. Well, okay, your past. So you were a professional athlete and award-winning coach of
volleyball. Volleyball. That's my sport, and I actually played for the national team in the mid-70s, and so that was really exciting. And I'm an All American, and I am so excited to be able to take some of the things that I learned from sports and apply it to aging. And so that's why I wrote my book, Take on Aging as a Sport, because I think a lot of people just kind of give up when they get to a certain age and just say, this is the way I'm supposed to be. And I say, no, you don't have to do that.
And your title says it all. I'm sure there's lots more value in the book, but the second you hear that title, it's always so important to grab a good title that really tells people what it is. And just, I am inspired just by your title.
Oh, well, thank you. A lot of people are, you know, when they hear it, they kind of go, oh, you know, that's interesting, because most people have played a sport sometime in their life, or they watch sports, and a lot of times they're very competitive spectators, as you know, because they know everything sitting on the couch that the athlete should do. And so I think it kind of strikes a nerve, because we all have that competitive spirit, and we're going to really need that as we get older, because getting old or getting older is a challenge. It's a challenge. So we have to step up, and we can do it. We really can. There's lots we can control.
Well, and it's such a great concept to take on aging as a sport, to see it as, you know, I'm going to look at aging, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to compete with it, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to take the foibles and fix them, and I'm going to all that stuff. It's just a great concept. So you have the sports background. What happened after you left volleyball?
After I left volleyball, I got into teaching and coaching, which I loved. I coached 10 years at the community college, and then I started having a family and kept teaching. And so I've been actually teaching health and a lot of activity classes, things like yoga and body pump, and, you know, just a lot of ways, different ways to keep fit. And so, because a lot of my students, when they come to the community college, they've kind of, they haven't stayed fit at all. And, you know, so it's an opportunity.
I've never been fit. Oh my goodness. Like, they're just sitting around.
You need to come to one of my classes. You would love it. And so, so that's been really fun, because I love the coaching. But when I started having a family, I was kind of a obsessed coach, where, you know, I wanted to be the best. I wanted my team to be the best. And when I had little babies, you know, they were #1 priority. And so I could still teach what I wanted to teach and be more time with my little girls. And then by the time they started getting to be a certain age, they wanted to play volleyball, and they were too young to go into a club. So my husband and I started a club for them. And so we coached another 12 years with our kids and their friends. And so, yeah, it's been a really fun path.
That's interesting. So how did you decide, you know, I've been an athlete, I'm a parent, I'm a coach, I want to be a writer of books, a radio show host, and a speaker? Like, when did that trajectory shift?
I have been teaching for a long time. I taught in high school before I went to the community college, and I just love doing that. And there's so many things that I think a lot of people out there outside of my classroom would like to know. And so that's why I decided to start. The first thing I started doing was writing, and I wrote a book for volleyball, you know, youth volleyball, because we were doing that at the time. And I saw so many of these coaches and so many of these kids and parents that were just all battling each other. I mean, it wasn't, for a lot of these people, a fun thing. It was stressful. It was, you know, they just weren't all on the same team. And so I decided, hey, we can do better than this. And so, you know, I wrote a book called Youth Volleyball, The Guide for Parents and Coaches. And then I did the second edition for athletes too, because I wanted them to, you know, be a part of it as well. And so I never expected that book to do anything, because it was a small market, but it ended up selling over 25,000 copies, which I was shocked. That was my first book. I mean, I just kind of went,
so awesome. You know how many people go, well, I have a garage full of books, and you like right away have a market, but that's because you're selling to the niche you're already known in, right?
Right. Well, you know, exactly. And I just, it was so funny, because my husband, when I told Michael, I'm going to write this book, I'm going to write a book. And he goes, "You never written a book before?" And I go, "I know, but I think people need to know this. Look at all the people that can't coach that are out there doing it. We need a book." And so he told me, this is so funny, Lynette, he goes, "You have a snowball's chance of getting published."
Meanwhile, not only did you get
snowball's chance in hell of getting published, is what he said. And so when he said that, I went, oh, now I really want to do it. And so I found a publisher, and it did well. Isn't that cool?
That is so cool. That is so cool. And nothing like a little negative reinforcement. Right? Proving your husband wrong has gotten many a woman to take a path they wouldn't have otherwise taken. So very cool.
That's right. That's right. I go, now I really want to do this.
And so now, how many books have you written at this point?
Well, that book went into 2 editions, and I've written a couple textbooks for my classes at the college, which are, textbook companies. And so I wrote a wellness book, I wrote a fitness book, and I wrote a yoga book. And then I also wrote a book kind of for fun. That was my first book that I really just kind of wrote, I want to do something fun. So I wrote a book called Shark Sense, Getting in Touch with Your Inner Shark, which is an empowerment book. And I compare humans to sharks in terms of goal-seeking behaviors. Isn't that funny? And sharks win.
I love it.
And so I wrote that for fun. And then I also wrote another book on so you think you can coach kids. It's not just for volleyball. So it's all for all youth coaches. And then my recent one, Take on Aging as a Sport. This is one that I really.
Basically, you've written a ton of books, and your husband no longer argues with you when you decide to put something pen to paper or fingers to typewriter or whatever. Typewriter, that shows my age.
That's right. That's right. In fact, he told me, he goes, I think I might want to write a book.
So he has a snowball's chance.
Snowball's chance in hell. Yes.
Okay, so clearly you've been successful at everything you've done. That's really nice. That's a nice position to be in. Life has all kinds of ups and downs and challenges and problems. But to be able to sit at this point and say, I've been very successful. I've accomplished many things. I've turned my head to. So I think you're the perfect, apparently I need to learn how to talk. I think you're the perfect person to ask these 3 questions that I'm asking everybody. So are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. What's your definition of leadership?
My definition of leadership is finding something that you're compassionate about, that you go after, and you give an example to others as to how to do it the same. As to how to do the same thing. And so you're an example. You are an example in terms of how you go after your own goals.
Okay, nice. Your voice went kind of funny, but it actually was all understandable. It was like the universe was trying to make sure everybody heard you in slow motion. It was all, leadership is this, listen up. Okay, Sharkie, define success.
Success is really being happy in your life. And it's not so much about the money that you make, because I know a lot of people who make a lot of money who are not happy, and I don't consider them to be a success. So there are a lot of people I consider successful who maybe are, just kind of getting along, but they wake up every day, they're energized, they love what they do, they love the people they're around, they're not trying to impress anybody, and they're comfortable with who they are.
Okay, I like that. That's a nice definition. If you were giving advice then to somebody, given your definition of leadership and your definition of success, how would you tell them to step upon the path? Like, how do they find their path to success? What advice would you give?
I think the first thing is to know what they want, because there's so many people that are telling them what they should be doing. I have a lot of students who are there, and I say, well, what do you want to do after you leave here? And some of them have no idea. They're just going to school. Or they say, well, my mom says I should do this because you can make a lot of money at it, or my friends say I should do this. And I go, well, what is it you want to do? And I really think the first thing, the most important thing, is deciding what it is you want. Because I think when we were kids, that was easy. But as we get older, we have so many influences around us and so much pressure to do certain things to fit in, to, be, successful, to be acceptable. And we lose our connection with who we are and what we want. So I think that's a very first thing, is to really, really kind of focus in and ask that question to yourself. What is it that I want? And, ask it a lot. And sometimes it changes, but we need to answer that question. And once we do, then we can start forging together a path. And I think the next thing that I would do is really start to get people that support you on that path, because there's going to be so many people who are going to say, oh, you can't do that. What are you thinking? You don't have the talent to do that, or you're never going to make any money on that, or
snowball's talent.
yeah. And so I think those are two really important things. And then get started. Don't expect that you're a magnet and things are just going to come to you. You have to take action. And so those are the three things I would recommend.
I think those are great. Those are fantastic. Years back, I went to a talk that Neil Donald Walsh, I don't know if you know who he is, he wrote Conversations with God series. He was speaking there, and he said that he'd gotten married a lot, as have I. I've had 5 happy marriages. I left when they weren't happy anymore. But I'm ching. But he'd had a lot of marriages, and he was talking about, his path and the challenges he'd had with that. And then he made a statement that was similar to what you were saying. He said, I used to say, hey, who wants to go with me? And then once I gathered them, I'd look and say, now where are we going? And he said that didn't work, because I'd be gathering people that were just going, okay, I'll go with you. But then once he pointed to where he was going, they were like, no, I don't want to go there. So he changed and went, where am I going? You can come along if you like. And that changed the whole dynamic of it. And I've held on to that for a long time. Do you want to speak to that? It's kind of a neat thought.
No, I think it's a neat thought, because everybody likes a strong person. And I think strong people attract people who, want to be successful. But like you said, where are you going? I mean, there's a lot of directions that you can go to. And I think in order to be a leader, first of all, you have to identify where it is you want to go. And secondly, you have to tell the people who want to follow you where you're going. Like you said. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't know. We'll go this way.
I know. Oh, we're going to jump off a cliff today. Come on.
It's very fun. Okay, so those are the questions. So now it's time for you to share whatever you think would be really beneficial to people, and information on how to go to your website, get your books, whatever you hire you as a speaker, whatever it is you want to share now.
Yeah, I just really love helping people get follow their passion and get the best of themselves. Connect with that, because I think a lot of people just don't know how to connect with their strengths. We're so used to, thinking about our weaknesses. And so I think my mission is all about empowerment. With my students, with my children, just with my athletes, empowering them to bring out their best selves and to go in the directions where they're passionate about, where they want to go. And that's basically what my life has been about. I think I started doing that when I was young. I wanted to be a professional athlete. Of course, that's when girls weren't really playing sports. This was before Title IX. But I said, this is what I want to do. And I found some girls that wanted the same thing. And I found a coach that wanted to coach me. And eventually, 8 years after I found him, we got married. And it's just kind of like, so knowing really what you want, your life will start to come together as you get on the path and as you move towards it. And so that is really kind of, what I'm about. And, I do have a website. It's just my name, SharkieZartman.com. And it has some classes that I teach, some of the books I've written. I do speak. I speak every day to my students. I have a women's health class, and I'd love to get out and speak more on the aging, because I think a lot of people need a pep talk. Hey, stepping up, don't give up. You're alive. There's so much more to do. And so that's what I do each and every day, and I love it.
All right, that's awesome. Well, thank you. And if they want to listen to your show, do they go through your website or?
I have a link to my website, sharkiezartman.com, but also you can hear me just at healthylife.net. I'm on at Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and then I have an archive page, and so you can just pull up shows that you want. I think you're still on there, but I want to interview you. Yeah. So I have great guests on my show.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Sharkie. It's been wonderful. Great advice. Very fun. How fun to hang out with you and age together, holding hands across the internet. It's been fantastic. Okay. I'm Lynette Louise, the brain broad. This is Sharkie Zartman. I told you I'm tired. I even emailed her by the wrong name. I mean, this is getting me. Trying to put all these one after another is crazy. Sharkie. Sorry. Do it.
Zartman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I got to go take a shower. All right. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.